Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for joining today's web conference, Section 184, Financing for the Tribes. Please note that all participant lines will be muted for the duration of this event. You are welcome to submit written questions during the presentation, and these may be addressed during Q&A. To submit a written question, use the chat panel on the right-hand side of your screen, choosing All Panelists from the Send To drop-down menu. And if you require technical assistance, please send a note to the event producer. I would now like to formally begin today's conference and introduce Krista Johnson, Director of the Office of Loan Guarantee. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon or good morning, whichever is appropriate. Welcome to the Section 184 Financing for Tribes webinar. Again, my name is Krista Johnson, and I'm the Director of ONAP's Office of Loan Guarantee. We're excited to spend this time with you today and share some information on how tribes and TDHEs can utilize the Section 184 program. Our trainer today will be Deanna Lucero. She's a Senior Loan Guarantee Specialist out of our Denver, Colorado office. Deanna has been with the Office of Loan Guarantee for 21 years. She's an expert on the Section 184 program and will share valuable information with you on how to utilize this program to its fullest. Before I turn this call over to Deanna, I want to thank Iris Friday and Amy Oakley from our Northwest ONAP office for organizing this webinar for you today. I hope you find it valuable, and we look forward to coordinating and working with you in the near future. Deanna?
Thank you very much, Krista. Same as Krista, welcome, and I'm glad for your interest in this session today. We have approximately 1 hour. I hope to spend the next hour explaining some basics about the 184 loan program and then some specifics on how the tribe or the housing authority can utilize this program. At the end of the session, if time allows, I will address the written questions that we are receiving. And if we do run out of time, then what will happen is we'll put them in print and then send them out to all the participants. So let me go ahead and get started. As Krista said, my name is Deanna. I'm in the Denver office, and I've been with the 184 program for 21 years now. So what I'd like to do now is kind of address general information about the program before I go into detail as far as how the tribe or the housing authority can be the borrower. The Section 184 loan program was created back in 1997, and its purpose was to bring mortgage capital to underserved communities. By definition, that meant on reservation. We were looking to bring capital to reservation lands where individuals and or the tribe could utilize the program to provide home ownership opportunities. In the past 21 years, we have been the leading loan program in Indian country, and we are very proud of our successes, and we are glad to see that we could bring this capital to the communities. Now going forward, we're looking to do more loans in the native lands on the reservation as opposed to on fee land. So if you go, that would be next slide. Give me a moment, I apologize. Okay. This is a map of the United States, as we can all see. What I want to identify here is this is our Indian operating area for purposes of the 184 loan program. The states that are colored in that gold and yellow color represent activity in the entire state. So what that means is you can use the 184 loan program on or off the reservation in that state. The states that are colored the burgundy or reddish color is we have a presence in that state, but we are limited to either on reservation and or select counties. The states that are colored, or not colored, excuse me, the white states represent no activity. So in order to determine the Indian operating area, that is a decision made by the tribe. The tribe will determine if they want to provide housing services and or housing options to themselves and or their tribal members in a particular state and or county. They submit a request. That request comes to our office, the Office of Loan Guarantee, and we review it and make the determination accordingly. Most recently, in the last couple of months, we approved the state of Virginia. As you can see, it's colored in a reddish color, which indicates that it's not the entire state, but approximately 25 counties where now tribal members and or the tribe can use the program for home ownership opportunities. Okay. So the Section 184 program, again, as I indicated, it started approximately 21 years ago. It was designed to bring home ownership opportunities to Indian communities. We have been very successful with the program, and the thing that we're trying to emphasize now is pushing towards the tribe or the housing authority being the borrower, right? So the whole purpose of today's call. So what we're hoping to do is meet or address your housing needs by using this loan program. Many of you who have ever heard me present will have heard me say that oftentimes in Indian communities, we don't have homelessness, we have houselessness. We lack the houses and or the structures to meet the needs of your community. So working together with the tribes, the lenders, and HUD, what we're trying to do is bring homeownership opportunities so that you have more homes on your reservation and or in your Indian operating area to house your tribal members and or select communities. And as we progress today with the presentation, I'll define what I mean by select communities. Okay, so we're going to address your housing needs. We're going to address it on and off reservation. One of what I believe to be one of the best kept secrets of our program is a lot of times tribes will contact me and they believe that they are the borrower, they can only borrow on their reservation land, and that is not a correct statement. The tribe can use the program and they can use it where the HUD 184 program is offered. So if the tribe would elect to bring homeownership to their reservation, that's acceptable. If the tribe wants to buy or build homes, say for example in Denver, Colorado, that is acceptable as well. And that's that's the portion that we think is not being conveyed correctly. So again, we're hoping to address that as I progress today. Okay. The other use of the housing program or the 184 loan program is rehab. We recognize that the homes that you do have in your community sometimes are either aged and or need a rehab or repair. The 184 loan can be used specifically for that. So the tribe can apply for a loan anywhere from $10,000 being the minimum up to the amount determined by the appraisal to repair the home. The repairs are subject to either the discretion of the tribe and or the appraisal. And let me expand on that. So if the tribe decides they want to make the home larger and put additional bedrooms, bathrooms, et cetera, that's fine. And or if the appraisal that is ordered indicates there's a new roof required, new bathroom, foundation, et cetera, then that is an item as well that we could fund using the 184 loan program. Okay. The last bullet here says that we provide flexibility in types of housing available to members. And what we're addressing here is once the tribe determines that they want to use a 184 loan program, and if they're using it to build or buy, then they can build or buy any type of single-family home eligible under our program. So by definition, that's a single-family home, which is 1 to 4 units, the maximum being a fourplex, a triplex, or a duplex. They can also use the program for manufactured or modular homes that have to be adhered to a permanent foundation. It can be used for stick-built homes if they like to build the homes on the reservation, rehab, condominiums approved by FHA and or Alaska Housing, and or townhomes. So again, my purpose here is to explain that every option under the loan program is an option to you as the tribe or the housing authority. Okay. So what is Section 184? I've already addressed that. We are a mortgage. We are a mortgage specifically for a tribe, a housing authority, and or a member of a federally recognized tribe who has an enrollment card. We do work with 7 state tribes as well. We are designed to bring mortgage capital to Indian communities, and we are designed for new construction, rehabilitation, purchase and rehab, and or refinance. Okay, some advantages of the 184 loan program. So one of the advantages is these are manually underwritten by an approved lender. And the reason we want to emphasize that is one of the things that our team instructs and or teaches the lenders is that when they're providing this program to Indian communities and or in this situation the tribe or the housing authority, it must be a manual underwrite. They must evaluate the tribe's income, the tribe's assets. They'll look at what's called a Dun & Bradstreet, which is a credit report for the tribe. They're also going to address things such as your current rental housing stock versus homes that you've either built, purchased, and sold. They're also going to evaluate your land base, whether it's fee land, trust land, or allotted land, and work directly with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, for example, if it's trust land, and or title companies if it's fee land off the reservation. So when they manually underwrite this, they're also manually addressing and evaluating your ability to be the borrower. Okay. The next bullet down here says a low down payment. And here's where I want to do a plug for our 184 loan program, or a plus, I should say, excuse me. When an individual is buying a house, he or she is subject to either a 1.25 to a 2.25 down payment. That is customary and often common when it's somebody's a first-time home buyer, correct? They have to identify or explain to the lender they will be residing in the subject property. It is for homeowners. For the 184 loan, we recognize that the tribe or the housing authority is not an owner-occupant. We realize that you are using our loan program to bring homeownership opportunities to your community. But we treat you like an owner-occupant. And what I mean by that is even though the tribe or the housing authority is an investor, they still are only subject to the 1.25 to 2.25 down. So I want to give an example. If you were using our loan program and you were buying a house for $100,000, under our loan program, your requirement is 2.25 down, and we would finance a loan for $97,750, which means out of pocket, the tribe would have to have a down payment of $2,250. If you had left our loan program and went out into the lending community and a lender provided you what's called a conventional loan because you're an investor, they would require a 20% down payment. So in that same example, if you're buying a home for $100,000, you have to put a down payment of $20,000 in order to obtain $80,000 in financing. So in leveraging your funds or using your capital, as you can see, under our program, you need $2,000 to acquire your first home. Under a non-184 program, you would need $20,000. You could take that $20,000 and leverage it over 10 homes with the $2,000 requirement, right? So we find that very advantageous, and it's something that we also explain to our lenders, because oftentimes the lender is the first liaison or contact with the tribal community. We want them to emphasize that although we recognize you're buying as an investor, you're treated for qualification and a down payment as an owner-occupant. Okay? The next two slides, or excuse me, 2 bullets below, just state that oftentimes if you're assisting your tribal member in being the homeowner, you can gift the funds to them and pay 100% of their down payment. Obviously, if you're the borrower, you could get a gift source, but oftentimes the tribe or the housing authority really is the gift source for the individual. Okay? Okay. Continued advantages. Again, we're eligible in 22 entire states. And the reason why I want to emphasize that is I want to explain to the tribe as a borrower, you are not limited to your community. So oftentimes, again, we've been approached or asked, can I only use the program on my reservation? And that answer is no. You can use the program on your reservation if you're a participating tribe, and you can also use it anywhere the 184 is offered. So my example earlier was Denver, Colorado. The entire state of Colorado is an Indian operating area under the 184 loan program. So if the Lummi tribe wanted to purchase homes in Boulder, Colorado, they could make an application using the 184 loan program. Okay? And then, of course, the other eligible land basis is fee simple, on or off, tribal trust with an executed lease, and then we do finance individual allotment as well. Could somebody mute their phone? Thank you. Okay. The role of HUD and or the lender. Okay, so again, the 184 is a mortgage loan, right, for Indian communities. The role of HUD is we develop and implement the policies and regulations. We conduct training, such as today's event, and we provide technical assistance. The technical assistance can be all of our partners, so we can either provide technical assistance to the lenders if they have questions about how to commence the loan, how to originate, underwrite, et cetera. We also provide technical assistance to the tribe or the housing authority if they have questions about how to commence, how to contact a lender, what is the best use of the program, options, et cetera. Okay. We provide underwriting guidance, and it's important to emphasize that bullet. Historically, our staff used to underwrite the loans. Today and going forward, our lending community is underwriting our loans. So we provide them assistance on how to, again, commence, originate, evaluate, and underwrite the loans. We provide the loan guarantee. So again, HUD being the developer and policy writer of the program, after the lender closes the loan, they'll submit the files to our office for review, compliance, and we will guarantee their loans. The lender is the initial contact with the applicant, whether that be the individual, the tribe, or the housing authority. They are our liaison in between HUD and our borrowers, correct? They will market, they will do outreach, they will provide any type of assistance you need to actually start the loan process, okay? So they'll process, underwrite, close the loan. Today we have approximately 200 participating lenders. And that's important for you as the consumer to know that this is something that you can definitely shop, if you will. So you can either contact a lender in your community and ask them for assistance on how to bring homeownership opportunities to your community. You can contact one of our lenders that are nationwide. Again, that is a choice specifically made by you as the borrower. Okay. The role of the tribe, you have numerous roles. First and foremost, in order to bring mortgage capital to your reservation, your sovereign nation, you have to have established what we consider legal infrastructure. And by definition, that means you let us know that you have foreclosure, eviction, lien, and leasing procedures. Those are submitted to, again, to our staff, the Office of Loan Guarantee. We evaluate them for program compliance, and once we've determined they are acceptable, then we put you on our list of participating tribes. That tells our communities, the lenders, the tribes, the borrowers, that we can lend on your reservation. If you are a landless tribe and all your operating areas either off a reservation or fee land, then we still do the review process and we add you on the list and just identify the type of land base that we can lend on for your community. Okay? In a little bit, I'm going to talk about how it's your role also to be the borrower. I'm going to start that in just a few minutes. Last but not least is the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and they are a key partner when we're lending on the reservation because in our world, they become our title company. The Bureau of Indian Affairs is responsible for approving and recording leases if a tribe is not a HEART Act approved tribe. They're also required to issue what's called a title status report. And that allows us to commence the loan process, and it allows us to complete the loan process. Okay? Okay, that is my beginning introduction. Now I'm going to go into specifics on how the tribe or the housing authority can be the borrower. I am not going to address an individual as a borrower. So first and foremost, if you contact our office and you want technical assistance, we want you to define your housing goals. So as I indicated earlier, we all agree that we often lack homes or houses in your Indian community. So we have to bring the housing options in order to provide home ownership and or housing for your tribal members. But your needs could be vast. You could be looking to house your elderly. You could be looking for homes for your youth. You could be looking for homes for your low to moderate income. So oftentimes our first call or our first introduction is to identify what is your first initial need. We recognize you have numerous needs, but what is the initial need that we can meet, right? And in an effort to meet that need, are we looking to construct new homes? Are we looking to rehab your existing units? Many years ago, we had lots of tribes that would use the 184 loan program to rehab their mutual help stock. Homes that had not been conveyed to the tribal members were in need, for example, of new roofs and or maybe sidewalks, siding, etc. So the tribe would provide or obtain financing through our program to rehab those existing homes. Create a workforce. I want to give a plug here. In the Pine Ridge Indian community, the Pine Ridge tribe has created a manufactured housing plant. So what the Pine Ridge does is they're building manufactured homes, and they're either building them for their own community and or they're selling them to other communities. So here was a great opportunity to not only meet their housing needs, but also to create some workforce and job opportunities for their tribal members. You can also use this program to create new, so not only for the new homes, but for rental units, right? So if you need to create new rental units, if you've lacked enough homes to meet the needs of your tribal community, then you would use these for rental. This picture here is a fourplex that was financed via 184. The borrower was the Mowa Choctaws in Alabama, and this was to house elderly. So just wanted to send you an example. Okay, so let's talk about new development. Okay, so these are some initial concerns, and again, the whole purpose of this slide is to give you something to think about. So when you're at your development table and you're either working with your board and or your housing department, you first need to identify what are your needs, what are your concerns. If you do scattered sites, right, your infrastructure cost is going to be higher than if we do, for example, a subdivision. Who is going to cover the cost of environmental and archaeological and things of that sort that need to be done before we can start developing or building homes in your community, right? Who will be the contractor? Will you use a tribal labor force? Will you bring an outside company? Will you elect to do sweat equity, et cetera? And the reason why I'm addressing this is not to give you any type of resolve today, but to give you something to think about. What we want you to recognize is that 184 has flexibility. We allow you to be your own builder. We allow you to bring an outside builder. We allow you to use a program, again, for stick-built, manufactured, et cetera. So a lot of times when we're doing technical assistance with the tribe, we want you to realize that think outside the box, think within the box. We can work with whatever it is you need to bring the housing or homeownership opportunities to your community. Sorry, I fast-forwarded on that. Okay. Apologize, guys. Next slide. Here is what I want to emphasize is if you elect to do new construction, if we're going to build homes in your community, you have two options. Under the 184 loan program, you can build the homes and then ask us to refinance them or do a takeout, replenish the expenses or the monies that you used to build the homes. The other option is you can reach out to the lender and ask them for an initial 184 loan. And in this situation, what happens is all the monies for the cost to construct go into the mortgage. So, for example, we would close on the loan today, Thursday, November 8th, right? And we would close on raw land and plans and specs. And if your particular home is $200,000 to build, in that mortgage or in your loan, you would have $200,000. And on Monday morning, November 12th, your contractor will come out and commence or start the construction. As the work is completed, it would be inspected, and then the lender would reimburse the builder after the work has been completed. So you have two options on how you want to address your financing and or construction costs to proceed with the project. Okay. Again, once you identified that you wanted to do new construction, those would be the type of technical assistance or details that we could provide at a later date on how to address costs and how to proceed with the loan process. Okay. So under the 184, as I stated earlier, so the tribe can be the borrower, and our initial contact with you would be to identify what are your needs, okay? So under this assumption or this slide, if we determine that you needed to provide housing options primarily just for rental, so this wouldn't be for home ownership, this wouldn't be for resale, this would be to house individuals who want to live in your community but who are not ready to be homeowners, so they would be the renters, right? So we would address that and talk with as far as what type of houses do you need? Do you need homes with 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms? Do you need duplexes, triplexes, et cetera? What is it that would work in your community? I'm going to give an example. A couple of years ago or many years ago in the beginning, we worked with the tribe, but we didn't do enough technical assistance in marketing, if you will, and we agreed to build some fourplexes in this particular community. Well, the hope for the tribe was to build these fourplexes and house tribal members and or convert them to home ownership. After they were built, a lot of the tribal members said that they didn't want to live in them. They didn't want to be in a fourplex. They wanted a single-family home, and they wanted to be on scattered sites. The homes were obviously occupied, but what had to happen is the tribe had to convert them to elderly or low-income rental as opposed to the goal of renting them to somebody with a moderate or high income, right, and or with the option to resell. So these are things that we, again, sitting down at the development table, we will address. What are your needs? What are the costs per homes, et cetera? Okay. Okay. So again, if you're electing to do these for rental, part of the evaluation done by the lender is that they'll want to know what are your management skills. You know, so how many of these homes are we going to build, and they're going to look for your capacity or ability to manage the homes. They're going to look for eligible tenants. So you as the borrower are required to pay the debt service, which is the mortgage payment to the lender. But in exchange, you're going to rent these homes to somebody. So how much do you expect to rent them for, and will that rent cover your debt service, and or you as a tribe have to supplement it? That is 100% tribal discretion. So we have some tribes that will build homes for rental, and for this example, say the mortgage payment is $1,000 a month. They will rent them to their tribal members for $500 a month, and they will pay the difference. In some situations, we have tribes that will build the rental housing to bring non-tribal members to their community. They lack medical practitioners, they lack doctors, they lack school teachers, et cetera. They'll build the home, and they'll bring non-tribal members to their community, and they'll charge them no rent, which means the tribe is responsible for covering the debt service and or paying the full mortgage payment to the lender, right? Again, tribal discretion. Under the 184 loan program, we don't say who can live in the home, and we don't say how much you rent it for. It is your house, it is your mortgage. Okay. Across the board, we've had tribes build homes and rent to tribal members on a sliding scale. They'll start in, for example, at $150 or $200 a month, and they'll gradually increase their debt service until they're making the full monthly mortgage payment, and at which time they'll allow the tribal member to either buy or assume that mortgage, right? In most situations, the tribe will prioritize and allow the house first and foremost to go to a tribal member. And if they don't have a tribal member that wants to rent or occupy that home, then they'll seek a non-tribal member and or, like it stated earlier, a medical practitioner, a school teacher, et cetera. Okay? My emphasis or my point here is, again, that's a decision made by the tribe. That is not a decision made by HUD, and that is not a decision made by the lender. Okay? Again, these are some options to consider. Okay? On the HUD 184 loan program, you do not have to leverage with other resources, and or you can elect to leverage with other resources. So if you elect to use your Indian Housing Block Grant money, other federal programs, et cetera, then you may have to adhere to their requirements. Again, under HUD 184, we are not driven by the income or lack of income by your tenant, and or we're not driven by the cost of the housing. We don't, our cost of the home is based on what we call our loan limits, okay? Okay. The other option, so the first item that I address is if the tribe wants to acquire housing for rental. They have no intentions of ever selling these homes or conveying them to their tribal members. They will keep it in their rental housing stock. The second option is when the tribe approaches us and says, we want to build these homes, but ultimately we want to sell them or convey them to our tribal members so that they become the homeowner. Okay? So it's the same process. You're going to reach out to the lender. The lender's going to evaluate your income, your credit, your ability to manage these while they're being built, but then they're also going to look at how you intend to resell these and what's the best approach. I'm going to give an example here. So one of our examples was approximately 10 years ago, give or take, Kerrigan Estates. So Kerrigan Estates is in the Navajo Nation. And they approached us and they said, we want to build homes because what we want is our tribal members to move back to our community. They were noticing or finding out that a lot of their tribal members were moving to, say, for example, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they were getting educated, and then they were taking their skill sets and buying and working in Albuquerque, right, buying a home, living there, and not bringing those skills and or that income back to their community. Well, when they marketed or reached out to the community, the tribal members said, well, we'd love to come back to our community, but there's no homes for us to purchase. So what we did with the Kerrigan Estates is it was on reservation. The land was fee, but it was fee restricted, meaning it was only for their tribal members. The tribe elected to put in the infrastructure. They put in the well and septic, the water, and things of that sort, subdivided out the lots, and then they brought in an outside builder. That builder built homes anywhere from 1,800 square feet all the way up to like 3,500 square feet. And they did the first phase. Well, it was successful. So the members of their tribe that had moved off reservation seeking houses comparable with their income moved back to their community. So they did numerous phases of that sort. So that was a great way for the tribe to provide home ownership opportunities on their reservation and bring their tribal members back to their community. Okay? I'm going to give another example before I go on to this slide. Another example recently is the Cherokee Nation. So if anybody ever gets an opportunity, you should reach out to the Cherokee Nation and or their housing authority and ask them for some information. In their particular situation, we have closed over 500 loans. The Cherokee Housing Authority is the borrower. What they did is they had individuals who owned their own homes, but the homes were dilapidated and or in need of major rehab and repair. They reached out to their tribal community and recognized that the individual didn't have the financial capacity or the ability to rehab their home. So the housing authority purchased the home from the tribal member. Now it's owned by the housing authority, so it became tax exempt. Now it's owned by the housing authority, so they were able to put a master insurance policy through Amarant. They rehabilitated the homes, and then they allowed the individual who had sold the home to the housing authority to move back into their own home. So now we have over 500 Cherokee members who are back in their home. Their homes are basically brand new, and their mortgage payment is approximately $360 a month. So they provide affordable new housing for their tribal members. They become tax exempt, and again, the hazard insurance is paid via Amarant. The individual who appears to be a tenant because the housing authority owns the home is technically will be the homeowner at the end of the 30-year mortgage and or sooner if they elect to convey home ownership, and they are responsible for the upkeep of their home. So that has truly been a win-win situation, and that is on fee land, again, with the Cherokee Nation. Currently, we've closed over 500 184 loans. Okay? So on the slide that we're on here, a couple of things that I want to identify. So if you're a new tribe, not a new tribe, but a new tribe in the 184 loan program, and electing to use our program, whether it's for rental and or home ownership, our initial loan application limits you to 20 homes. So you would make that application with the lender, and you would identify if you want to buy, build, or refinance anywhere from 1 to 20. Again, we recognize that you're an investor, a non-owner occupant, but whether you do 1 loan or 20, your down payment is the 2.25%. Okay? Once you've demonstrated your capacity and or ability to perform on those 20 loans, then there is no ceiling. And I'll give a good example. Earlier I just said the Cherokee Nation has 500. White Mountain Apache in Arizona on their reservation land, trust land, have 319 184 loans. And every single one of those homes, the 319, are occupied by a tribal member. The tribal member will have the ability to either purchase or assume that home after a 15-year period. Okay? So 1 to 20 on your initial application. After your initial application and demonstrate the capacity, then again, there is no limit. Okay? You have an option where the family could either assume your loan and or buy it. So what happens, again, as I stated earlier, you're the borrower. You are being the initial applicant, the borrower for the 184 loan. After you've closed on the loan, you're making the mortgage payments. If your tribal member and or tenant in that house wants to assume the mortgage, they would make the application with the lender, and once they determine the tenant's income, credit eligibility, and that they're an enrolled member of the federally recognized tribe, technically your loan would be transferred over to that tribal member. He or she becomes responsible and liable for the mortgage, and now the tribe is no longer responsible for the debt service and able to proceed with buying or building another home. The nice thing about that is it's very cost-effective for your tribal member. It's a great way to help your tribal member become a homeowner because he or she didn't have to pay the upfront construction costs, the upfront lending costs, infrastructure, things of that sort that are not affordable sometimes for your tribal member, because the cost to assume a mortgage ranges anywhere from $500 to $1,000. So now technically your tribal member can become a homeowner for $1,000 or less. So it's very advantageous. Okay? The other option is to sell it. So you could also elect to sell that home. You could, and have your tribal member income credit qualify, obtain an appraisal, and he or she would pay for it whatever the market value is, correct? If that home was off reservation, say for example you built it in Denver or bought it in Denver, Colorado, you could also sell that home to a non-tribal member. So again, your discretion on who to sell it to would be your choice based on market. On reservation, obviously you're only going to sell to a member of your tribe and or lease the land to them. Okay. Okay, previous slide I addressed assumption, and again, it's cost effective. The other nice thing is, again, with the tribe or the housing authority being the borrower, the fact that you can do multiple loans, 1 to 20. You can construct and or build 1 to 20 homes at a time. Oftentimes you get a better cost via the builder, and so it keeps the home affordable. So again, when your tribal member is assuming this home, the loan amount could be well under the value of the home. So you're giving your tribal members what we call equity, and they are taking over your current interest rate. In today's market, the rates have been increasing. So we have a lot of tribes who did loans several years ago where their interest rate is, say, for example, 3.5%. So it's advantageous for your tribal member to take over that loan than to originate a new loan in today's market of, say, for example, 5 or 5.5%. Okay. So some costs involved. I have another example that I want to give here. Give me a moment. Okay. So on this slide here, the slide again talks about a 3-bedroom home for $175,000. So in this particular situation, your down payment would be $3,900, correct? So again, I want to emphasize, so what I did is I went out and I did a mortgage calculator. So if the tribe built a house or bought a house for $175,000 and they put down the $3,900 down payment, their loan would be $171,000 and their monthly mortgage payment would be $867. Okay. If, again, they attempted to do that non-184, say a conventional loan, a $175,000 loan would require a $35,000 down payment. They would finance $140,000, and their monthly mortgage payment would be $709. So their monthly saving would only be $158. In my opinion, that's not significant versus the down payment savings, paying on our mortgage $3,900 versus a non-184 mortgage $35,000. If you take that difference, technically they could leverage that $35,000 and do 8 homes, pay the down payment on 8 homes as opposed to 1, again, in the conventional world. So I'm just trying to emphasize our cost effectiveness here, okay? Helping you build as many or build or buy as many homes as possible, right? Okay, I want to give a couple of other examples because I think examples are important, and I think they're important to explain that this really does work. Earlier this summer, July or August, excuse me, in South Dakota, the assistant Tim Waffington worked with the government, the South Dakota government program, and they had 20 homes that were built off-site. They were built approximately $65,000 to $75,000 per home. Each home was 33-bedroom home. The tribe worked with another government entity and obtained subsidy in an amount of $35,000 per home. So under our program, they only had to finance $48,000. So they had 20 homes built off-site, brought to their community. They have a loan for $48,000, and every single home is now occupied by a tribal member. Well, they received an additional type of subsidy through another government program, and that government program is technically paying the rent on behalf of the tribal member. So the tribal member is technically living for free, and the tribe is getting reimbursed or paid back from a third party. So we've done 20 loans that route. As I stated earlier, White Mountain Apache has 319. Those are all on reservation. They're tribal trust. Cherokee over 500. And up in Wisconsin, we've been working with the Red Cliff tribe. So these are just some examples. Okay, so as a tool, the whole purpose of the 184 is to increase your housing stock. As I said in the beginning, oftentimes you have houselessness as opposed to homelessness. And again, when I'm referencing houselessness, I mean in your communities on the reservation. I want to give another example. I apologize. The Yurok Nation. Yurok is in California, and I thought this was very interesting. So the Yurok had youth that were leaving their community and going to college. Well, the cost of housing in those college communities was not affordable for their tribal members or for their youth. So the Yurok Nation purchased duplexes and fourplexes in a college community. These were on fee property, non-reservation, and their priority was to house their tribal members going to school. If the house sat vacant, if they didn't have enough tribal members that were going to this particular college, then they would rent them to non-tribal members at market rate. So if it was a tribal member, they lived for free. If it was a non-tribal member, technically that non-tribal member not only covered their debt service, but they actually made money. So, for example, if their mortgage payment was $1,000 a month, they were renting it to non-tribal members for $1,500 a month. So, again, I thought that was very novel and a great way of using our loan program and first meeting the needs of their youth. But when there was not enough youth, then they were technically using this property as an investment property and covering their debt service as well as obtaining additional funds to build or buy more homes. Okay. Okay. Isaac, are you on the call?
I am, Deanna. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask Isaac Perez to speak a little bit about his project, and he will be the presenter next month for the webinar in December. So, Isaac, take it away.
Thank you, Deanna. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Our phone lines aren't the greatest out here. But pretty much what we've done is very similar to what Deanna has been explaining with a couple of the other tribes around the country. And what we found 184 to be able to do is a very successful tool, not only to build homes, but to refinance them or to reconstruct or renovate. We right now have a 100-acre subdivision that has 150 lots on it and is very close to completion and has primarily been funded through 184 loans and through HUD Title VI funds. And pretty much what we figured out years ago was in planning for this project was utilizing a process of Title VI funds to use pretty much as a construction loan, if you want to call it that, to provide construction money to build units. And what we do is we use that money, we come back in and pay off that Title VI loan with individual 184 loans, and then turn right back around and ask for more Title VI funding. And we've done that to the amount of about 150 units right now within our subdivision. It's worked very well for us here. We have been able to keep payments very low. I think our highest payment is somewhere near $600 a month. That includes full coverage insurance through Amarin Risk Management. And as we speak, we are now seeking our fourth Title VI loan to Office of Loan Guarantee in Washington. Our subdivision in itself is not all 184 in Title VI funding. We did, if you remember back in 2010, we did receive some ARA funding. We have used ICDBG funding, RIF funding, NAHASDA money. So it's been quite an effort. But as far as the 184s go, we found it to be the most successful tool for mortgage loans throughout Indian country. And we did a lot of research to look at different avenues such as USDA loans, other conventional products, and Section 184 just seemed to work very good for us. One of the reasons we've been able to keep costs down so much is that throughout our subdivision, we also have our own HUD-approved tribal workforce account. And so we don't have to hire general contractors to come onto the reservation and pay really high construction costs. We're building homes here at San Felipe Pueblo for anywhere between $70 to $85 a square foot. Our houses range anywhere in size, depending on how many bedrooms, from 1,300 to 2,000 square feet. And we're able to keep those costs down because we don't have to pay the overhead or anything like profit on top of that. Altogether, we've housed in those units hundreds of San Felipe tribal members. Every one of the units is individually owned. They have their own title status report, their own lease, all in individual tribal members' names. And so what we pretty much found a way to do is use Title VI as a construction loan, come back in with Section 184 loans and refinance them, and then basically go back and ask for more Title VI funding. In addition to that, we've also used the proceeds of sales from some of these homes for Section 184, not to repay back the Title VI loan, but also to just construct loans, construct units, and then go back and use the proceeds of sales to purchase the units to pay off the Title VI loan. So it sounds a little complicated, but once you start doing it a couple of times, it's really not. And it's been a really successful tool for us here that we're going to use to finish our subdivision and hopefully start a new subdivision this spring, because I never thought we'd fill the 150 lots as fast as we did, but we did. And we're pretty proud of it. And we found a way to keep money on the reservation, not only with families living in the homes, but also built by 100% tribal members from the Pueblo. And so we found a way to keep as much money on the reservation as we could. But we wouldn't have been able to do that without Section 184 financing to pay off homes and also to construct new homes. We've used down payment assistance through ICDBG, through New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority to create subsidy, either for down payment assistance or mortgage principal buy down to keep payments as low as we could to keep them affordable. And it seems to be an effective tool for us so far. We've had families in homes for about 8 years right now, and we do enforce our mortgage foreclosure and eviction policies. And out of the 150 units, we've had 3 evictions in that time. So that percentage, although it's sad to say anybody was evicted, it's very low. And the mortgage foreclosure and eviction policies ran through the tribal court system here, and the tribal court allow us to follow through and take action on the eviction process. So It's worked very well. The picture you see in the slide there that Deanna has up is a 4-bedroom home. That is in our subdivision. The payment on that unit right there is $480 a month with full coverage insurance through Amerind. And without going into a lot of detail, that's kind of what I had. We'll be going into a lot more detail on our webinar for our best practices. That'll be later in the month. And it's been a very successful program. We're pretty proud of it. And actually, I lied a little earlier. We put over 1,200 tribal members in new homes, primarily with the main drivers being Section 184 and Title VI.
Thank you, Isaac. And I want to, you said something earlier, and I agree, and I think it's wonderful to hear that you have more people on the waiting list for home ownership than on the waiting list for rental, right?
Absolutely.
That's really, yeah, wonderful, and congrats. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We created our own monster here, I think.
It's not a monster. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask for some assistance here since we have 7 months, excuse me. Oh, there we are. There's the questions. Do we have some questions that I can answer? Can you send them to me? I don't see them.
And you can use the chat box to submit your questions now. And we do have a few that have already come in. The first one is the best place to start considering 184 loans for a tribe to reach out to banks, or should I be contacting our area ONAP office first?
Thank you for that question. I would suggest both. So what you would want to do is to contact your area ONAP office to talk about any issues or concerns you have before you reach out to the lending community. And then you would reach out to the lending communities. You can reach out to one. You can reach out to several. I know I had one tribe who did almost kind of like an RFP, a request for proposal. They sent something out there and said, this is what we want, this is how we expect to achieve it, and we want to know what you can do for it at what cost. And various lenders would reply to that request for proposal to see if they could meet your needs. I would say it's a simultaneous approach.
And the next question was, can you give an example on how the construction loan is serviced during the construction period?
So do you mean there's 2 points here. So if it's a construction loan, unfortunately I can't answer that because that is what we call interim financing, and then it's not a 184 loan. So if you'd like to do a construction loan and ask us to be the takeout after the house is built, I can't give you specifics. If you would like to do the 184 home and construct it, then what happens, as I had stated earlier, you would close on the loan today. The loan would be based on the after improved value. So an appraiser would come out and he or she would look at the plans and specs. They would look at the builder's cost and come up with the value of the home. We would close on that loan, and for my example, I'm going to say $200,000. So today we would close on a loan for $200,000. Your contractor would come out on Monday morning, and let's say they pour the foundation, and that cost is $10,000. Your lender would go out and have that foundation inspected to make sure that it's acceptable and in compliance, and once that's agreed upon, they would disperse $10,000 to the builder. So that can be done prior to. The agreement would be on a sectional basis and or on a draw basis and or, for example, sometimes a lot of tribes say they want this to be paid in 4 increments. So those are options that you would have, but it's always paid after the work is completed.
And are the tribes eligible to become their own Section 184 lender, so they don't have to go outside, to outside lenders?
That could be an option, and that is something I could not address in detail today, but whoever asked that question, if you'd like to send that to me in the form of an email, we could address the details on how a tribe would become a lender. So the tribe has various roles, as I stated earlier. One of the roles is the tribe has to establish legal infrastructure so we can lend in your community, right? The second role that you have is you can be a tribe or a borrower. Another role you have is you could be the lender. Another role the tribe could be the builder. The tribe could offer homebuyer counseling. The tribe can offer down payment financial assistance. And the tribe can do all of it. You don't have to pick and choose. Those are just a variety of options and or roles that the tribe has in the 184 loan program.
The next question. When you have someone on the reservation that owns their own land and someone who is leasing tribal land, does the 184 loan paperwork get handled the same?
The loan gets handled the same. The title work process may differ. So the Section 184 loan for income, credit, the borrower's credit report, income, employment, et cetera, would be the same whether it's tribal trust or individual allotted. Where the variance is, if it's tribal trust, the tribal member has to first seek approval with the tribe to use the land and to use that land for 50 years. The tribe would execute a mortgage lease to the tribal member so that they could buy, build on that land. If it's individual allotment, the tribe does not approve and or lease the land because it's their own land, but the Bureau of Indian Affairs would have to allow them to proceed with mortgage lending on their own land. So the loan's the same, the process varies.
And can a member have more than one 184 loan?
A member cannot. An individual who obtains a 184 loan, he or she must be an owner-occupant. They have to occupy the subject property. He or she cannot be an investor. The tribe or the housing authority, as I stated earlier, can have more than one. They can have initially 20. Once they've demonstrated their capacity or ability, then there is no limitation. Now, back to the individual, he or she can have a 184 loan. They can sell it, refinance it, pay that loan off, and then they can apply for a second loan. So we've had individuals who've purchased a home, for example, in Denver, Colorado, didn't like the cold weather here, sold the home, moved back to their community, applied for another 184 loan. That is acceptable.
And is housing counseling or homeowner education required for Section 184 mortgages?
Unfortunately not. However, so the Section 184 does not mandate or require homebuyer counseling. However, again, a key role of the tribe, when the tribe provides either the land, the infrastructure, and or some type of down payment assistance, the tribe can mandate or require homebuyer counseling. We are truly in favor of that. But again, it's something that we do not mandate.
And does Section 184 require mortgage insurance similar to FHA mortgage insurance for the borrower?
That is correct. FHA loans or 184 loans do have mortgage insurance. We have an upfront, and we also have a monthly. The monthly is when the loan amount is 78% or greater. Once their loan has been paid down to under 78%, that monthly can be eliminated or removed.
If IHBG funds are used for leveraged funds, i.e. down payment, on fee simple land, can the home be sold to non-natives?
Yes. Well, I apologize. I should not answer that. I am not an expert on IHBG, so you would have to ask them. I'm not sure with the use of their funds if that has to be paid back or how that works. I apologize.
Deanna.
Yes.
IHBG must be used on only tribal members that are federally recognized Indian tribe. So,
and is it only on reservation?
I believe it's either on fee and reservation. The recipient does have to be a recognized enrolled member.
Okay. Thank you, Isaac.
Sure.
And is the down payment different from closing costs?
It is. So those are two items. So when you apply for a 184 loan, it always requires a down payment, and that down payment is either 2.25% if your cost is $50,000 or greater. It's 1.25% if your cost is $49,999 or less. In addition to your down payment, you have what's called closing costs, and when you approach the lender will identify or explain those, but those costs are things such as ordering the appraisal, your credit report, surveys, title work, origination fees, etc. So you have two different types of costs when originating a loan, correct? And so again, if this is where I can get some information, oftentimes when the tribe or the housing authority is the borrower, the tribe or the housing authority will absorb the costs for the closing costs as well as the down payment. And then when they convey that home or sell that home or allow their tribal member to assume it, that person doesn't have to pay all these costs. So it's a cost savings to your tribal member.
And the next question is the guarantee fee the same as mortgage insurance?
There's both. We have a monthly mortgage insurance and we have an upfront guarantee fee.
And at this time, I'm not seeing any further questions.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank everybody for their time. We're just a little infomercial. We are hoping next year, in 2019, to offer more webinars on a variety of topics to do with the 184. Today, again, we are emphasizing the tribe or the housing authority to be a borrower. I'd also like to state that if any tribe or housing authority that's on this call would like specific information to their community, i.e. they would like to have a 30-minute to 1-hour call to address specific details on how we could commence this process in their community, send me an email and we will schedule an appointment. That would just be over the call. It would be very informal and it would be specific to your community. I also strongly encourage you to reach out to our website to get all recent information, whether it's our loan limits, our lending areas, offering more webinars such as this sort. And I hope you all call in next month to hear Isaac's best practice presentation.
Thank you, Deanna.
Anybody else? Krista, any closing comments? Okay. Well, then with that, I saw a question come up. I assume everybody will have a copy of the PowerPoint. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Deanna. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you for joining today's conference. The session has now concluded, and you may disconnect.